Alright guys, welcome to the ASL Vanguard League round of 16 group stages, kicking off with Group A because, you know, alphabetical order is, we're traditionalists here at the ASL and we like that sort of stuff. So the first match is going to be between these two players, a TVP. First one is spawning up in the top left-hand corner of Deadwing. The Terran in that equation from Team Composite. Here's TUXerino. And his opponent, playing for IGX, the Protoss player, playing in the teal trunks, AeiS. AeiS. I think it's pronounced ICE. Anyway, we do also have a last-minute substitution in Group A. Illumina, unfortunately, was not able to play, and so has had to drop out. And he's been replaced by the third-place finisher from his group, Wisecracks. His group being Group E, of course. So Wisecracks will be playing in match number 2 versus Canary rather than Illumina. But for now, we've got TUXerino versus AeiS going on, and it's on Deadwing, so they're both going for pretty expansion-focused play. Nothing particularly rushy coming out of either player. Only TUXerino's Reaper, pretty much the only pressure that will be put on AeiS to start with. But with his Mothership Core coming out before the Reaper actually arrives in his base, he should be perfectly placed to stop this Reaper from doing any real damage. And yeah, obviously the Reaper come in and Mothership Core, actually, if that gets killed, no, it's not going to kill it. So yeah, Reaper gets out, he can heal up, confirm an expansion down at the natural, and yeah, just generally play the game out as normal. Back home for TUXerino, he's actually adding on 2 more barracks before any other tech, so we're going to see quite a big swell of bio from him, taking him on into the into mid game. Nice. It's very good to have for defense. Certainly, you can defend oracles without having to rush out that early engineering bay. Nice to have against blink or lens as well, and allows you to put a little bit of pressure onto the Protoss player. Definitely, you know, force out a photon overcharge now and again. And there we go. Yeah, the add-ons going on that. Probably going to be, I don't know, at least 1 tech lab, because we just see it finishing up just to get stim and stuff out. If he gets 2, he can maybe hit with stim and comet shields and a couple extra marauders, but we'll see. Wouldn't be too surprised to see either tech lab or reactor, but all in good time, and for now, TUXerino just kind of clearing out his base. He's going to find this probe and take it on out. A couple of volition on those remains, enough to clear up. AeiS, on the other hand, pushing across the map with a few of his stalkers. And he's going to have to be a little bit careful here. He does have the watchtower for vision, of course, so he's going to be able to see TUXerino moving across the map. And yeah, TUXerino actually isn't going to be able to take out the stalker. Just stripping the shields off and a tiny bit of health. And the Reaper's going to come in to, I guess, get the health down a little bit. It's kind of nice, because obviously Protoss don't really have any way of repairing their units, so it's just going to stay on low health for the rest of the game, and that's a nice little bit of quasi damage done there by TUXerino. And not sure about these. Oh, actually, he's going to kill 1 or 2 of the stalkers here. AeiS not really kiting them back or anything, and now with both stalkers going down, just 1 left, getting a little bit, I mean, it's a little bit tough for AeiS. He, of course, has that photon overcharge he can rely on, which will go down the natural very shortly, I imagine. There it is, drives those units away. Saves it for as long as possible so he can actually kill a couple of units with a photon overcharge rather than just, you know, using it to force them away. And yeah, just nicely played by both players here. AeiS just now finishing up, well, he's finished up a couple of observers, now moving on towards Colossi that he wants to produce in those robotics facility, or from the robotics bay rather, building the robotics facility to enable that, or vice versa. And yeah, there we go. And yeah, now AeiS kind of chasing TUXerino back home. Obviously, the faster move speed of those stalkers enables them to really chase that bio all the way across the map. TUXerino's stim is quite late for a 3 racks opening, so he wasn't able to actually outrun the stalkers. But AeiS sees them moving out now with that well-placed observer just kind of a bit in the airspace, sort of above a bit of the map that's kind of blurry anyway, so it's a bit more difficult to spot. Nice little observed positioning I've never really noticed before. But he's going to go in for a full scout, see what's going on in TUXerino's main base, and just try and stay a bit defensive at home. And he should be A-okay doing that. A couple of stalkers being walked in. There's enough energy for another overcharge on the mothership core, and just in general, everything looks pretty good for AeiS in fending off this push. Without the medevacs as well, there's no real other angle for TUXerino to take. He has to be a bit careful in moving in. Does snipe that observer. Of course, he knows it's there because the Focus overcharge went down before AeiS actually had vision of TUXerino, or at least, you know, with any of AeiS's visible units. So TUXerino thought, it must be with an invisible unit, and he was correct in doing so. So he's just going to break down these rocks now, try and find another angle that he can threaten. But AeiS isn't too threatened by this. There's obviously this Colossus out. It doesn't have a range just yet, but I mean, it's still got its regular old attack, and that's more than enough to kill off those couple of Marines. At the same time, AeiS is trying to take a third base, which is a little brave. TUXerino is not actually going to pressure on it. Obviously, he doesn't know it's there yet, so he's going to head on back home, make sure he's ready for any warp prison base shenanigans. And it's a good choice to do so, because AeiS is going for some warp prison base shenanigans, and they are shenaniganing, because that is a full warp prism full of one unit, a Colossus. And yeah, so I think TUXerino is going to be a little bit surprised when he sees this coming here. Of course, only one. Oh, sorry, without range on the Colossus, it's not quite as effective, but still, you know, pretty scary force. A single Colossus and a few Zealots, and should be able to deal with this bio pretty nicely, especially if it's micro by the warp prism. But that is a very, very expensive warp prism. You do not want to be losing. Nonetheless, very nice micro there. So far, hasn't actually really lost it. And this bio he's going to have to go. Oh, very nice pick up there, and gets on out of there as well. Perfect. Perfectly done there by AeiS. Just a couple Zealots went down. He killed off, I think, 4 or so SCVs. So really well done there overall. He's trying to... TUXerino is kind of trying to drop/chase down the warp prism, but of course, the warp prism is just hanging in the dead airspace. We'll see whether TUXerino chase it down with 2 Vikings. Yeah, it looks like that's where they're headed, but AeiS, of course, will move now, knowing that's a possibility. Oh, I like this probe positioning as well to spot the drop, and spot the drop it will. So AeiS already has a few units in position to intercept this, a couple more being warped in. He shouldn't have any trouble holding this off. Blink is just about to finish as well, which will be great for getting underneath this medevacs, getting a few extra shots off, as well as the returning Colossus coming out with that warp prism. All combined, I mean, TUXerino can't really drop in right now, but of course he is just leaving those medevacs, waiting for an opportune moment to drop in once he's provided some kind of distraction by poking him with his army at the natural or third base or something. And yeah, we'll see how well he can do that. I mean, AeiS can't, of course, afford to leave these units in his main forever. Being one Colossus down because it's just standing on drop defense in your main is a big loss. I mean, Colossi are pretty expensive in terms of both supply and actual money. So eventually I'll have to go and get that. But for now, TUXerino is just starting to move out, looking at taking third base as he does so. With that command center coming down, he can move out and land it. And AeiS is moving out with his warp prism. This time a little bit less full of, so we say, unconventional units. This time just full of regular old Zealots. And it is, the Vikings don't actually quite notice it. So it's going to be quite a lot of damage done here, but it will go down now. Those Vikings just taken down in one volley. And still, decent amount of damage done by those Zealots. And the warp prism in general, in fact. As across the map, TUXerino just sacrifices a couple of Marines to see what is going on in AeiS's base. And oh, this is interesting. AeiS actually breaking down these back rocks. I wonder if he's trying to open up the whole pathway so he can get to a fourth base or something. That could be really, really interesting, because it's not something I've ever seen any players do before, really. Or it might just be, you know, he wants them ready as like a kind of drop defense if a drop lands there with a siege tank or something and tries to smash the rocks down. But I don't know. We'll see what's plans for that. But for now, TUXerino is moving out with a pretty formidable force. Although AeiS, I mean, he's got quite a few Colossi here, generally looking quite scary. The upgrades slightly favouring probably a Protoss player, given they're on equal upgrades. But oh, Protoss has actually just finished their +1, so Protoss on 1-1 and our Terran on 1-0. So extra damage out of those Colossi, extra tanking out of the Zealots, the Stalkers, and now TUXerino moves in with a small force, just trying to pressure. He's going to look in to go with about 4 medevacs into the main base, and so far AeiS doesn't actually know about this, so he's going to push out here, and perfect moment here for TUXerino to go into the main base. However, AeiS is already prepared for this with 2 cannons and a bunch of Stalkers. Takes down a couple of actually doesn't manage to take down any of the medevacs, so doesn't quite manage to make it happen. I think he really needs to focus fire them down, but as it is, TUXerino has got in with a lot of units, only the Photon Overcharge to contend with here, and a lot of probes going down. AeiS, he's been kind of indecisive, knowing whether to move back and defend or whether to actually try and come in and hold it all off, and now, pick up and just get on out of there as the Widowmine gets shot off on the Zealots, damages them a little bit, kills one off. So really nicely played there by TUXerino. However, he does have to remember that he's trading off his army to do that. He did quite a lot of damage to AeiS, but AeiS now has a massive army supply lead, and TUXerino is going to have to keep him suppressed somehow, keep him back in his base, and that's going to be super difficult now that AeiS has an Archon, some Zealots, a couple High Templar in his main base. TUXerino is going to try and lift up and go to the natural this time, but I mean, again, AeiS is leaving a few units at home. He's got that Mothership Core for the Photon Overcharge, and now the engagement coming down, beautiful storms of the Vikings. There's so few of them left anyway, and on top of all the bio as well. The last few storms to finish off that bio, and there's nothing left here for TUXerino as those Colossi laser down the last couple of Marauders. 2 Colossi left over, no more Vikings. Goodbye. And AeiS still has storms, he still has ground tanking for his Colossi, and he still has 2 of those Colossi left over, and now he's moving into TUXerino's natural base, and it's going to be a really, really difficult hold. The army sizes are kind of still, the High Templar being a bit forward, the army doesn't help though, but they do land some thick storms nonetheless, and those last 2 Colossi are actually going to be the backbone of this army if they stop shooting this command center, but it doesn't matter, it's too much. GG, and AeiS manages to take a 1-0 lead. Guys, welcome back. We'll get these intros out the way very, very quickly because we've got some funny business going on. First player then, spawning up in the top right-hand corner, is from IGX. TL Protoss player, AeiS. And in the bottom left of Overgrowth, spawning in as the yellow Terran from Composite Gaming, up 1-0, TUXerino. And AeiS is going for the Proxy 1 gate. I like it versus Terran much better than the Proxy 2 gate. I mean, the Reapers just shut down Zealots way too hard for a Proxy 2 gate to be too successful, I think. And honestly, it's not a huge commitment. If we look in the Workers tab and the Units tab, they're on equal workers right now, which obviously Protoss should be a little ahead because they've got Chrono. But equal workers are still nothing to be too ashamed of, and the mules, the Terran racial advantage hasn't really kicked in yet either, so it's not too big a deal. And AeiS, of course, is going to be able to put on quite a lot of aggression with this. TUXerino's got no idea it's coming, he hasn't scouted whatsoever, and so already AeiS just softening up a couple of these SCVs. I don't know whether that actually makes them die in fewer hits to the Zealots, but it'll be awesome if it did. And back in AeiS's base, the Cybernetics Core is coming in, 2 Zealots, and then into maybe a 3rd Zealot. It'll be into Stalkers pretty soon anyway. And now TUXerino knows what's coming at him. 2 Zealots, gonna get a couple of swipes in. The problem is this Reaper, as I said, it can't, like, the Zealots just can't catch it, so the Reaper can keep on kiting, but be careful not to get surrounded. And actually, it's a really nice engagement angle for AeiS. Just kind of, he can chop away at SCVs as much as he wants, and he will do that. So TUXerino is getting a little too bold with his SCV usage, and he will clean up all of these Zealots, but at the end of it, he's left with just 7 workers to AeiS's 15, and now with a Stalker on the way, just about to finish, in fact. TUXerino doesn't have anything to hold that. He's got he's got a Reaper and a Marine, and that is just not enough. The Stalker pops out, it's going to get the shots off it needs to on this Reaper. The Reaper can kind of try and run away and regen health, but this Stalker can just kite against everything. The Stalker will beat everything TUXerino has in a straight-up fight, and it can be microed as well. AeiS also has another Stalker coming in, so the force for AeiS will just keep on growing, and TUXerino's economy has been so crippled. He's just barely affording to produce these Marines. But no, AeiS gets a little too cocky, and actually TUXerino with the first shot, that high ground advantage, does manage to pick off the Stalker. So really, really big win there. That might buy him the time he needs to take this bunker up on the high ground and really secure it. But all the same, this is just a proxy 1 gate. This isn't your standard I must win the game with this proxy 2 gate fare that we see in PvZ. AeiS has a Nexus down behind this. It's not finished yet, but I mean, he's saturated in his main. He's got to get this gas and then he'll be fully saturated, but he's saturated on minerals. TUXerino's just stabilized, but he's now under half the work, or just under half the workers that AeiS has. And yeah, things looking pretty nice for AeiS here. However, he is a little bit at risk of losing the Stalker, and his Mothership Core, actually. He has to be a bit careful with that, although I think he's got enough with the Stalker to take this down. No, it's going to actually take out the recall. So this is going to be a bit annoying here for AeiS. One more Stalker finishes up, but obviously he still can't actually take all 3 of those Marines without. It's an incredible micro. Warp Gate just finishing up now as well. And I mean, with Warp Gate finished, it doesn't really matter where this gateway is. Although AeiS has rebuilt it in his main base, along with the other 2 gateways, going up to 3 gateways. Yeah, I'd like to see him get 4 gateways total, because he's going to lose this one sometime in the not too distant future, and he's going to need a backup, because 3 gateways is about where you want to be on 2 base if you're teching and playing kind of standard Protoss macro behind it with your first round of gateways anyway. For now, TUXerino actually has built a command center, but obviously in his main base, not exactly the optimal place for it. AeiS just kind of poking up that ramp, trying to figure out what TUXerino is doing. Seeing that bunker, he kind of knows that TUXerino might be thinking about move out, might be thinking about trying to move down to the low ground and secure his natural sometime pretty soon. And we do see TUXerino doing that with his Marauder. He's got more than enough to take this Stalker, so AeiS is going to have to be a bit careful. Does back off. Oh, picks up a Marine as he does so, though, which is very nice. And now this gateway is going to go down. So TUXerino is going to be left on just 2 gateways in his main. But he's got the Mothership Core, he's got a Sentry to defend with, and from this Robo, as soon as the supply block from losing the pylon has been finished, is going to spring an Immortal. So all good stuff for AeiS. The Immortal is going to really help out defensively. They're not great versus Marines, obviously, but they're not too bad, and they're very good versus Marauders. So yeah, AeiS generally looking okay here, but he will need a little bit more than Photon Overcharge to hold this off. I think just the extra Sentry might be enough, to be honest. He's got how many force fields? 2 force fields on one Sentry, 1 force field on the other. So all looking fine for him. And yeah, TUXerino still behind in that work count. AeiS taking up to Colossus, and TUXerino, again, he's just kind of finishing up a factory. So for now, TUXerino checks 3rd base, obviously sees a 3rd base. That would be ridiculously greedy. As it is, AeiS has just been a nice amount of greedy, and TUXerino is going to find it difficult to press in here. Photon Overcharge goes down, and yeah, a force field picks off another couple of Marines. 2 force fields for 2 Marines it's okay, and it certainly weakens this force from TUXerino enough that even if he goes in for a 2nd round, it's going to be kind of tough to hold off against reinforcement warp-ins and the couple Immortals and Sentries and Stalkers that AeiS would have. So for now, AeiS is just going to scout around, get pylons on kind of his side of the map so he knows what's going on, and just generally tech on into the mid-game, or everything looking about as normal as it can after an opening like that. Of course, AeiS still a fair amount ahead in supply, just because he entered the mid-game with a little bit of a lead from that early kind of cheesy opening. And yeah, we'll kind of see if he can carry it through into the 2-0, or whether TUXerino can pull it back. It's obviously not a game-ending position for TUXerino right now, but he is going to have to make something happen to do some damage to the base. And AeiS, is this wow, Immortal drops as well. Whatever it is that AeiS puts in his warp prisms, it's exciting. I like this. I mean, Immortal drops fantastic. He's going to come in here and he's easily going to be able to snipe these barracks as they're building. They have just such high DPS. 3-shotting these SCVs and taking down supply depots, taking down SCVs, taking down whatever he wants to, because these are Immortals. And this cancelling 3 buildings, because Immortals. He's going to kill one of the gases. He can kill the starport. Going for the reactor, I think, a better choice. But still, like, those reactors. Is he going to get stim? Is that? No, it's combat shields. Okay. That would have been big. Getting combat shields though, still incredibly annoying for TUXerino because he actually doesn't have any other tech labs now. He's having to rebuild those 2 tech labs, and his Marines are just going to be so much weaker for so long, dying that much easier to the Colossus Splash and to every other unit that AeiS has, that it's just going to be so tough for TUXerino to kind of bring it back after that further setback to his timing in this game. For now, both players actually going in with more drops. TUXerino with the 2 medevacs taking up a proxy-ish pylon for AeiS, and AeiS just kind of threatening around with his warp prism. Moves in here, of course, sees there a couple of Marines, but this is just an empty warp prism, so he doesn't actually have to be that careful with it. Although it is valuable for robo-cycle time, it's not, like, crucial. How many Colossi does he have, speaking of robo-cycle time? Just 1, actually. Oh no, 2 Colossi. Where's the other one? Ah, he's got one in his main, one in his third base. So, splitting his forces up a little bit against potential drops. A wise move, considering that TUXerino has already not only shown an affinity for drops in the first game, but shown that he has a medevac out on the field in this game. So, yeah, these 5 Stalkers, 1 Colossus will be more than enough to deal with TUXerino's couple of medevacs coming in here. The Stalkers actually don't have blink yet, so that's a little bit unfortunate. It's going to make them slightly worse, actually chasing down medevacs and picking them off. But I mean, they still shoot up. They still do bonus damage to armored, which medevacs are. So it's okay. One thing I haven't actually mentioned yet, but I really like, is the double upgrades from AeiS. He knows he's in a strong enough position to be able to actually go double upgrades and have it not be really any kind of disadvantage. He'll just have, like, obviously he'll have slightly fewer units, but TUXerino still shouldn't be able to punish that too hard. And double upgrades, so strong, especially with a Colossus base style. Colossi scaling really hard with upgrades, and just defensive upgrades just kind of generally being good versus Terran with the fast fire rates of those units. For now, TUXerino's going to move in towards the third base, try and see what damage he can get done on the probe line. These Marines are going to absolutely tear through this, and slow reactions from AeiS is going to mean he loses a lot of workers here before actually they do get pulled on for now. But yeah, he picks them off. Picks off a few of those Marines, and see if he had blink, he might be able to get that medevac, but as it is, unfortunately not. And 2 High Templar get morphed in. Will pick off 1 medevac, but 1 medevac only, and the warpins will be able to push away the rest. And yeah, now that medevac can kind of sit in there, just chillaxing around. In the main as well, the drop went back in, but was repulsed by a photon overcharge. Now there are a couple cannons up. It'll be much easier for AeiS to keep the drops away. Oh, this is clever, actually, using the hallucinated phoenix, because hallucinated phoenixes actually still drive units away with their attack. Units will act as though they took damage from the attack and go, oh, I'll move away from the thing that's attacking me, even though they're not taking any damage. So very clever by AeiS to use that to kind of lead the medevac into his own forces. For now, though, just kind of driving this medevac away again. It's just hanging out here in the kind of airspace that inaccessible land space anyway, and it's going to continue to be a little bit annoying. But AeiS, he's got that Colossus there. He's got a mothership core with almost full energy, 5 Stalkers. He's going to be 100% safe against 1 medevac's worth of drop. So I wouldn't be too worried. Also, his 2-2's just starting. Storm is already finished. He's going to start being able to make the switch into a more kind of Zealot, Archon, High Templar focused composition, and not quite phase out the Colossi, because you do need to stop them, stop Terran being able to transition completely into Ghosts, but just generally add that extra touch of splash damage as the extra touch of cost-efficient tanking and DPS to the Zealots. But he's got to contend with this Widow minefield first, and that's going to be tough. Oh, this is lovely. I love this. Using the 3... but even better response by TUXerino. The burrow up, though. Is it going to be enough? A couple of Widow Mines do go off, but mainly on the bio, actually. And now all the Widow Mines gone down. No detection here for TUXerino, so he's trying to focus down a hallucinated Colossus, and the storms come in for AeiS. He can bring those storms down on the SCVs, on the rest of the bio, on anything he wants, though. Just one high tempo has to be a little bit more careful. It will go down. Excellent storm, softening up all those Marauders to red health. And AeiS is going to push forwards again. GG! Will advance 2-0 over TUXerino to the winners match.